It's 24 minutes to 9. It's on Fridays that we've seen the most intense protests in countries of the Arab world. All eyes will be on Syria today. Protesters have called on Facebook for more demonstrations following the speech on Wednesday from President Assad, who gave a very hard-line response to the protests so far. Well, Sami Khayami is the Syrian Ambassador to the UK and joins us from a radio car. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
We've had, I think the official account is 30 deaths so far. I think unofficially people have put it up to more like 130 deaths so far. Do you think the authorities will take a different approach to protests from now on, that we can be sure no one will be shot for protesting in Syria?
I think from day one the orders were given never to shoot at protesters that are expressing their views. And the 30 death toll is really unfortunate, and I don't think it will happen again, except, of course, if people who intend to shoot at security forces do that. We have seen that in Latakia. The incidents in Daraa in the south were quite unfortunate. However, 2 days later, they were shooting at security forces. And in both cases, there were crimes committed, and we really deplore that.
But to be absolutely clear, if protesters go out on the streets today and they don't have guns and they don't shoot, no way will they be shot at, because President Assad has given orders to the security forces that he controls not to take violent action against demonstrators.
Absolutely. But one has to have, of course, eyewitnesses that would see the truth, and not eyewitnesses like we have seen recently, just sending reports that have no ground at all.
Right. So why, though, did we have what you would call the 30, you would count as the 30 deaths, the unfortunate ones that were not involved, where people were not involved in shooting at the security forces, and yet still did have guns pointed at them?
Well, many of them were shooting. However, I'm talking about the first wave that happened in Daraa. That is most unfortunate. And that was due to a great mistake committed by some security officers who are under investigation right now.
Right. Now, in 2002, President Assad came in. This is sorry, not 2002. This is 10 years ago, 2000. He came in. He called for transparency, democracy, constructive criticism. He said there was a desperate need for constructive criticism. Did he deliver on the promise of reform back then, when he became president?
Actually, what he stated in his last speech is this was his intention from day one. However, the pressures and threats that were exerted on Syria during the past years have made him change the priorities and try to push the economic reform more than other reforms. However, now the priorities are set back again to the initial priorities of the reform program.
I asked the question, I'm sorry to interrupt, I asked the question because a major issue is whether we should believe what he says now when he says, I'm going to have reform and I'm going to have a committee that looks into lifting the emergency laws, whether that should be believed, given that a lot of this was said 10 years ago when he was inaugurated as president, and nothing changed.
Well, the Syrian people seems to be absolutely believing it, because millions of them went to the streets on Wednesday to vote support to the president. I think the president is trusted enough to be trusted with this reform program.
Hang on, he's trusted by who enough? I don't think all those demonstrators trust him at all to deliver reform, do they? We heard one on our programme yesterday saying it's over, it's finished. No way could we ever, be comfortable under this man again.
Well, you heard one. We have heard thousands of them. So it's up to you to believe the thousands or the one.
The Americans have suggested their citizens should leave Syria. What's your response to that? Do you think it is wise now for Westerners to get out of the country because it's in for a tough and difficult time?
I think it's one of the most wonderful countries in the Middle East, and tourists have to stay and enjoy their time.
So you don't think there's any need for Americans or Brits to come out of Syria at this stage?
Absolutely not. And I don't think they will follow these advices if they exist.
Right. One last one. Is there any disagreement among the circle around Bashar al-Assad over what approach to take, whether it should be more carrot or more stick, because we've had a little bit of both, or we've had promise of carrot and quite a lot of stick. Is there any disagreement in the regime?
I don't think there is a circle around the president. This is a system that is functioning. Things are happening the way the president is giving his orders to be done, and I think we're going to see the reform process proceeding in a much faster pace.
Well, that's an interesting note to end on. Faster reform proceeding, so more carrot and perhaps less stick. Sami Khayami, Syrian Ambassador, thank you very much indeed.
19 minutes to 9. Well...